Part 67. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 661. Chapter 661 I'll give you a house. Chen Fei was tripped by two men, but his attention was always on Qin Wan. Seeing Song Lanying rushing towards Qin Wan holding her in his arms and trying to jump into the sea, he rushed over and pulled Qin Wan's arm in a dangerous way, because due to inertia, half of Chen Fei's body was lying outside the railing and he almost fell off the boat. Wrongly picked up Qin Wan's firearm and fired several shots in the air. Stop. After all, the security guards were seeking money and did not want to die. They looked at each other in confusion. Wrongly quickly came over and Chen Fei grabbed Qin Wan's hand. Qin Wan lost too much blood and was dizzy. There was a bottomless ocean beneath him. Song Lanying hugged her. Holding her waist and hanging on Qin Wan, Chen Fei was just dragging the two women, desperately trying to drag them to the deck. Song Lanying smiled ferociously, I want to save her, I'm dreaming. She took out the dagger from her waist and stabbed Qin Wan in the waist. Wrongly frowned and decisively shot her between the eyebrows. Song Lanying's eyes widened as if she was not daring to look back, and the dagger raised in the air fell into the sea. Before Chen Fei could say the word stay alive on the tip of his tongue, Qin Wan heard the gunfire and kicked Song Lanying away from her body. Song Lanying fell straight to the bottom of the sea. Chen Fei and wrongly dragged her up. Qin Wan she was in shock due to excessive blood loss. Wrongly held her head with one hand to prevent her from hitting the cold deck. Chen Fei quickly turned around to dig through his camping bag. Helicopter, hurry up, Qin Wan's condition is not good. Chen Fei quickly brought a blood bag over and gave Qin Wan an emergency blood transfusion. Wrongly watched in surprise as he took out a blood bag. This thing was so important. Qin Wan had lost too much blood and was in shock. He couldn't survive for long. Now it's the last time. The only thing that could save her life was a blood transfusion. Why did you bring a blood bag? How do you know it's her blood type? Chen Fei wiped the sweat from his head. Before I set off, Gu Si asked me to get 2 blood packs from a nearby hospital. They should be her blood type. When they went on a mission, they would also bring blood packs with them in order to prevent accidents. This time they were on vacation and the equipment was not complete. They were all temporarily obtained from the hospital. The helicopter arrived soon. One of them was a medical machine. Qin Wan was sent after boarding the medical machine. The national security personnel stayed to deal with the aftermath, dealing with the security guards hired by Song Lanying and the cargo ship. After an investigation, I found out that this cargo ship carried a lot of contraband. No wonder they agreed to Song Lanying's request. Wrongly's mission was also over. The speedboats surrounded the place where Song Lanying fell into the sea. Wrongly narrowed his eyes and shot him directly between the eyebrows. Song Lanying thought that she was still alive, but she was just dreaming. The bottom of the sea was her tomb. The follow-up matters have nothing to do with Black Eagle. They are responsible for cooperating with the national security to hunt down the murderer. After Qin Wan was sent to the hospital, Wrongly also took people back to Universal. When he returned to Universal, Gu Zia was still sleeping in. The hospital was relatively noisy, especially in the morning rounds, when family members get up to take care of patients, the sound of ambulances downstairs, the sound of people, etc., even if the windows are closed tightly, it still seems very noisy. Gu Zia never sleeps well. Returning to Universal after that, I like to sleep in. When I woke up, I realized that something big happened last night and Qin Wan was sent to the hospital. How is Qin Wan? Gu Zia asked. The bullet has been taken out, nothing is wrong. Ji Sun got the first-hand news and touched her head. You take good care of your injuries. Song Lanying is dead, and you are no longer a threat. Lu Ziwen said calmly, pick 2 people from my list of guards to protect you and follow you 24 hours a day to avoid a similar situation happening again. Guzio didn't like being followed, and he was cautious about being assassinated this time. He didn't have time to train like Qinhuan, so he had to protect himself with guards. This was because he had to accept Lu Ziwen's arrangement. Okay, I'll choose someone myself. Except Li Zhang, take your pick. Li Zhang will be assigned to a new position and no longer needs to be Lu Ziwen's guard. He will develop into management. Lu Ziwen will not retire from the Black Hawks. Li Jiang's position as a guard is actually management. As a senior officer, he handled many things on behalf of Lu Ziwen, but Lu Ziwen retired from the Black Hawk, and Li Jiang seemed to be overqualified as a guard. Okay. Qinhuan woke up the next day after the operation. She was in Nanjing Hospital. Gu Xi was her surgeon. She was too seriously injured and could not move. The school had asked someone to take leave. Qinhuan was going to miss the final exam. It's winter vacation in a few days, and next week happens to be finals week. Chen Liangdong has said hello to her instructor, and it will be the same if she takes the exam again when school starts. Qinhuan and Guzio were resting like corpses. Guzio returned home after being raised in Universal for 5 days. The Zhang family never knew that he was seriously injured. They hid it very well and brought a guard with them when they returned home. He wanted someone. He was the youngest among Lu Ziwen's guards. He was only 21 years old this year, the talent that Black Eagle had trained since childhood, and he would later belong to Guzio. Guzio and Zhang Junlin talked about choosing the guards. Zhang Junlin didn't object and asked, "Where do you get your salary?" "Black Eagle hair." "That's good." Guzio looked at him with difficulty. Dad said that the salary must be paid from the National Security Bureau. No one may be willing to come. It's 12,000 yuan a month. Who is willing to come and suffer the hardships? It makes sense. Guzio. Guzio's guard is named Zhou Shiwen. He is taciturn. Zio doesn't ask him about anything and can be mute for a whole day. This is what Guzio is most satisfied with. There are no emergencies for the time being and he can't see his abilities. But the people promoted by Lijiang were generally not bad, and Guzio felt at ease with Lu Ziwen's team. He could move around freely, but could not lift heavy objects. When I had nothing to do, I went to the hospital to see Qinhuan. Zhou Shiwen helped carry a fruit basket. There was no shortage of fruit baskets in Qinhuan's ward. The classmates kept it a secret, but she was Chen Liangdong's daughter, and people from the Chen family came here. Another wave, Chen Liangdong is in trouble, and he is like a sweetheart after having a daughter. Everyone thinks that the little girl is soft-hearted and easy to talk to, and they all want to build a good relationship so that they can talk about anything in the future, so the fruit basket in Qinhuan's ward it was given to patients on the same floor every day. Guzio was a bit unique and carried a basket of ginseng fruits. Qinhuan looked fresh and showed off 5 of them in one breath. "Ziyu, you came just in time. Are you familiar with Chen Fei? Help me pick a gift for him to thank him for saving his life." "What does he like?" Qinhuan asked. "No need." Guzio cut open another ginseng fruit and gave it to her. "This is his duty. Without him, my life would be at the bottom of the sea. I still have to repay the grace of saving my life." "What does he like?" Qinhuan learned from Zhang Junlin's rich style. "Should I give him a house?" Guzio. What a big deal. Chen Fei's salary is not low, but he has no side job income. The house he lives in now is a family building of Kuoan, and it has a certain age. It is still a bit difficult for Chen Fei to buy a house in City A with his own salary, but he understands that Chen Fei with Fei's character, it was impossible for him to ask Qinhuan for a house. "I have quite a lot of houses, and they are all rewarded by the master, and I borrow flowers to offer to the Buddha." "He won't want it," Guzio said. "When he gets married, you can give him a big red envelope, the same thing." "Okay, then when he gets married, I will give him a house." Guzio. "How many apartments do you have?" Gu Zio suddenly remembered something. Why don't you thank Chen Fei for saving your life? Why don't you thank Rong Li? He also saved your life. You can't favor one over the other. Qin Wan was silent for a moment and said, Zio, I'm a little sleepy and want to sleep. I'm leaving. End of this chapter. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 662. Chapter 662 Suspicion breeds ghosts. Gu Ci was too busy to have time to accompany Gu Zia for lunch. Gu Zia went to Huan without anything to do. He arrived just in time. Lu Ziwen, Rong Li, and Ji Xian were having lunch. How is Qin Wan? Ji Sun asked. Gu Zia was eating fried meat with kidney beans and said casually, you look good, and I want to give Chen Fei an apartment as well. Why do you want to give Chen Fei an apartment? Lu Ziwen gave him a piece of snowflake beef. The meat was firm and chewy. Gu Zia liked it very much and ate it happily. There is no other way to give me the gift of saving my life, so just give me a house. Ji Sun raised his eyebrows. Rong Li, didn't you also save her? Why don't you have an apartment? Rong Li looked unkind. Can't you keep your mouth shut even when you eat? Third Master, he's getting more and more irritable recently, please take care of him, Ji Sun said funnily. Who provoked you? You're full. Rong Li walked away without paying attention to him. Ji Sun spread his hands, looked into Lu Ziwen's eyes and said, I definitely didn't offend him. He's been a firecracker lately, and he's always on fire. Gu Zio said, I heard that Song Lanying was shot to death by Rong Li. The old man wanted to keep her alive. What are you doing to keep her alive? Ji Sun smiled softly. She stabbed you once, and she still wants to enjoy the fireworks in her ancestor's grave after death. Buried at the bottom of the sea is the best destination for her. Have you not dated your uncle recently? Black Hawk has 2 projects to do. He is a bit busy, and he is also busy. They even have very few videos and very few voice messages. They just type and make another appointment on the weekend. I advise you not to meet each other, so as not to clash with each other. His temper has been bad these past 2 days. He is investigating some people within the Jida. Song Lanying's matter should involve many people. If the old man wants to live, he just wants to eliminate the Jida. Inside, who knows, it's gone in one shot, wasted. Lu Ziwen and Ji Sun looked at each other. Neither of them were sure whether Gu Zio said it on purpose or if he was just casually chatting. He lowered his head to eat the beef cubes and did not see the quarrel between Lu Ziwen and Ji Sun. Jidao can barely be considered a family business. It has been passed down from generation to generation, but there are still internal problems, Ji Sun asked. Want to find out some information? Gu Zio wiped his mouth with a wet wipe and said with a smile, ask your uncle. Ji Sun. Lu Ziwen asked, are you full? I'm full, Gu Zio yawned, I'm going to take a nap. Gu Zio returned to the room with his cell phone, and Ji Xian asked, Third Master, what does Zio mean? Why do I feel that the older the young man is, the more thoughtful he is, and I almost got caught? Are you finished with that matter? Ji Sun nodded heavily, it's been over a long time ago. Don't let Zhang Junlin find out and affect your relationship. I know, Ji Sun's face was solemn, but he was a little worried. I still think there is something in Ziu's words. Lu Ziwen said with a half smile, you and Ziu don't talk about everything and share everything no matter how big or small. Why do you always get dark when big things happen? Think about it. Ji Sun. Ji Sun wanted to kill Song Lanying for many reasons. Not only was Song Lanying stabbing Gu Ziu, which threatened Zhang Junlin's life, there were also many deeper reasons, so Rong Li went there immediately. At the toll booth, they never thought of keeping Song Lanying alive from the beginning. Song Lanying assassinated Ziu and her whereabouts were exposed. This had nothing to do with Black Eagle. Chen Liangdong's deployment and the cooperation of the Ji-Dao could also arrest Song Lanying. However, their work style was different from Black Eagle's. Song Lanying was guilty and had to be arrested. The court went to trial. If it weren't for extreme circumstances, Song Lanying would definitely be alive. After discovering his whereabouts, Rong Li took action immediately. In fact, Rong Li was also trained by the Yakuza. In the Yakuza training camp before he was 16 years old, he was the best in individual combat, and no one could surpass him. Later, after joining Black Hawk, he became the third master's substitute. After becoming an invisible man, he gradually disappeared and stopped doing front-line missions. Later he became the CEO of the 9th Black Hawk. Many people have forgotten that Rong Li himself is an agent who is extremely good at single combat. Some special tasks in the Ji-Dao were all carried out by Rong Li, and he never failed. If not, why did Rong Li go to the toll station to intercept Song Lanying, and why did he take Qin Wan with him? Only a few people in Black Hawk know that Rong Li takes action on Black Hawk's most important and urgent mission at present, and it must be a foolproof mission. Ji Sun recalled the whole incident and the video. A copy of the Operation Black Hawk video was sent to Zhang Junlin, but only 2 sentences Ji Sun told Rong Li were hidden. Rong Li killed Song Lanying because Song Lanying wanted Qin Wan's wife. If there was an emergency, even if it was Chen Fei, he would choose to do that at that time. The shooting was very reasonable and left no trace. Ji Sun suppressed the tension in his heart. Lu Ziwen said calmly, "Don't think about things that haven't happened." "I see." Zhang Junlin worked all night to see Qin Wan. He had not paid attention to Qin Wan since his successful operation. This was the first time he came to see Qin Wan. Qin Wan said with a smile, "Master, I almost died heroically." "House bonus." Zhang Junlin chuckled, "Are you still short of a house?" "Who would think there are too many houses?" Qin Wan said nonchalantly. "You reward me with a set, and I will give it to Chen Fei and borrow flowers to offer to Buddha." Zhang Junlin shook his head, dumbfounded. Qin Wan turned his head and glanced at the door. "Is Zhang Qiang the only one at the door?" "Say it." "I think Black Eagle is too active in Song Lanying's matter, which is a bit suspicious." Qin Wan suppressed his smile and looked solemn. Zhang Junlin crossed his legs, folded his right hand on the back of his left hand, and gently stroked the ring on his ring finger. "Continue." Song Lanying came to assassinate Xiaosai. Lu Ziwen arrived and rescued Xiaosai. Black Eagle found out Song Lanying's whereabouts, but did not tell us immediately. He notified my dad first. I remember clearly that it was 3:02 in the morning. At 15 minutes, I had just finished writing my thesis, so I volunteered to go to the toll station. Rong Li happened to meet me on my way to the toll station and went with me to the toll station. It was 35 minutes in the morning. When I arrived at him, I subconsciously glanced at my watch. The fastest drive from Universal to the place where we met would take 30 minutes. At about 3 o'clock, Black Eagle got news from Song Lanying. My dad was notified 15 minutes late. He calculated the distance and went directly to the toll station. It only took 40 minutes. Why did he take a 30-minute detour to come with me? Rong Li usually wouldn't leave Universal. It was not a smooth journey to the toll station from my house. He was waiting for me on the way to the toll station and followed me. This was very strange. Song Lanying escaped. Black Eagle should have gone to the toll station immediately. The most suspicious thing is why Black Hawk is so actively cooperating with my dad. Black Hawk has never intervened in this kind of thing. According to their past habits, after finding out the information, they gave it to my dad. My dad will arrange the action and Jida will cooperate. They are not interested in catching the murderer. Even if Song Lanying almost killed Ziyu, they would at most provide information behind the scenes. Zhang Junlin hasn't seen Ji Xian in the past few days, just thinking about the complicated and messy relationship in the whole thing. He hadn't seen Qin Wan's confession, so he couldn't make a judgment yet, and he was still taking chances. Now that he knew that Rong Li had deliberately taken a detour for half an hour, he was even more certain of his thoughts. Tell me everything you remember, including the conversation between you and Song Lanying. I have read the text file conversation in the driving recorder, and there is no problem. It is a conversation between me and Song Lanying. There is nothing special about the whole process, Qin Wan recalled carefully, but when I saw Rong Li on the boat, Song Lanying's the look was very strange, but I lost too much blood and had a double vision in front of my eyes, so I couldn't see clearly, so I'm not sure. Based on your intuition, is it necessary for Rong Li to kill Song Lanying? Qin Wan took a deep breath and closed her eyes. Song Lanying hugged her and rushed down the railing together. It was Chen Fei who caught her immediately. With Chen Fei's arm strength, it was no problem to pull them up. Song Lanying had just fallen off the cabin. Without reacting, in that short minute, Chen Fei was enough to pull her and Song Lanying up, and Song Lanying had no chance to kill her. Because she was hanging outside the cabin, she could not see Rong Li's actions. She only saw him coming over and grabbing her arm. Then Song Lanying went crazy and wanted to die with her. Rong Li shot Song Lanying. The whole process could not be seen. There is a trace of deliberateness. Master, I'm not sure, Qin Wan said softly. I lost too much blood at the time, my body was a little cold, and I couldn't see clearly in front of me. I called Chen Fei and asked about the details. Chen Fei said the situation at that time, if Rong Li doesn't shoot, I will die. Qin Wan said softly, I am biased against Rong Li, so I can't judge right from wrong directly. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 663. Chapter 663. Come and test whether my bed is soft or not. Qin Wan saw Zhang Junlin's silence. Black Eagle must be hiding something from them, and it was a big deal. It was also related to Song Lanying and others. In fact, both Zhang Junlin and Qin Wan had guessed that Ji Sun and others were hiding something from them. It's normal. Black Eagle and Ji Dao have been fighting each other for so many years and have been infiltrating each other for many years. There must have been some dirty things. Who would have thought that Ji Yu and Zhang Junlin have this kind of relationship now? It's normal to want to cover it up, but Qin Wan knew that Zhang Junlin didn't like it, and Ji Huan didn't confess, which meant that these things were not suitable for them to know, and speaking out might destroy their relationship. Master, I have a plan. Explain. Ji Sun is a well-rounded man with a delicate mind. If he really wants to hide something, he may not reveal it, and you won't ask straight to the point. How about taking Rong Li as his starting point? Qin Wan said. This time he saved my life, but I was seriously injured. It will take a while. I will chase her and find out about Black Hawk. I feel that there are still many people in Black Hawk who will never be eliminated. Are you going to chase him? What's the problem? Qin Wan saw Zhang Junlin's surprised look and spread his hands. The beauty trap is always successful, and I am different from you. We have no true feelings or burdens. No need, Zhang Junlin frowned. There are many ways to get information, so there is no need to use such a stupid method. What's more, Qin Wan and Rong Li have always looked at each other with disgust. If he really wanted to chase him, Rong Li would definitely think there was something fishy, and he was not easy to fool. Qin Wan stopped talking, rolled his eyes, and fell silent again. Then do you want to investigate this matter carefully? Let me think about it, Zhang Junlin said. The investigation must be carried out, but where should we start? Qin Wan could tell that Zhang Junlin was in a very bad mood, so he didn't disturb him and ate ginseng fruit quietly. Others' fruit baskets were filled with apples, bananas, and grapes, but the fruit sent by Guzia was still delicious. Okay, I'll ask you about this too. You need to recover well and don't worry about other things, Zhang Junlin said. After recovering from your injuries, I will finish my graduation thesis and apply for a doctorate in the same field. I don't want to study for a PhD anymore. Qin Huang quickly cut through the mess. I really don't want to study anymore. Okay, Zhang Junlin didn't force it. Qin Huang now has Chen Liangdong to look after her. It's no problem if she doesn't want to study for a PhD. Originally, she wanted to add some weight to her resume. Now, her background has become her biggest weight, and her academic qualifications are just the icing on the cake. A graduate student from university is enough. Zhang Junlin came out of the hospital and went to Universal, looking for Lu Ziwen. Ji Sun didn't expect that he would come to Universal, so he welcomed him up to the top floor with a smile. Brother, the third master is not here. Where is he going? He went to stay in the temple for a few days. He just left an hour ago. Lu Ziwen had long planned to go to Sansheng Temple to stay for a few days, and no one was allowed to disturb him. This time, he didn't take any guards with him. Rongli and Ji Xian didn't know why he suddenly wanted to live in the temple, but they wouldn't stop Lu Ziwen. Looking at Ji Xian's gentle smile, Zhang Junlin couldn't help but smile. Okay, since he's not here, I'll leave first. Hey, hey, hey. Ji Xian hadn't seen Zhang Junlin for 3 days, and he hooked his fingers in his palm. Why don't you just leave when the third master is not here? Can't you discuss something with me? Should we discuss the marriage between Xiao Ci and Lu Ziwen with you? Zhang Junlin pinched his offending finger with his backhand. Ji Xian breathed a sigh of relief when he heard that it was about a wedding. I can't decide on this matter, so just wait until he comes back. When he lives in the temple, he usually turns off his phone. This is not Zhang Junlin's first time coming to Universal, but Lu Ziwen was there the previous times, so it was not easy for him to take him out. This time Lu Ziwen was not at home, so Ji Huan took Zhang Junlin around on the top floor. There are 2 areas on the top floor, the living area and the work area. The living area is more than 1,000 square meters, including daily living, reception, fitness, cinema, etc. Guzia can basically live on the top floor without leaving the house, separated by a glass door. It has a living area and a work area. The study occupies a very large area. There is also a large library with a unique design and a large collection of books. Many of the books are antiques and some old objects. There is also a treasure library in the work area. All of Lu Ziwen's collection. There is an outdoor swimming pool on the top floor, and there is also a sky garden. There is a space on the west side of the sky garden, which is now Ji Sun's private space. He and Lu Ziwen share a study room, and then the living area is in the sky. The garden is separated. It has been designed and decorated here and has been there for 3 months. Ji Sun has not officially moved here yet, but daily necessities have been moved here. This is Zhang Junlin's first time here. Ji Sun's private space is very minimalist, with very little furniture. The color tone is cold and it doesn't look popular at all. It looks like an exhibition hall with a high ceiling. He also made a curved corridor with impressionist paintings hanging on the walls of the corridor. The bedroom was 100 square meters, with only a bed, 2 sets of bedside tables, and some small design sofas. They were all empty. Zhang Junlin raised his eyebrows. Did you design this yourself? No, Ji Xian said with a chuckle, I am a designer I like very much. Is it too simple? The bedroom is only 100 square meters, with a bed, 2 sets of bedside tables, small furniture and a starry sky ceiling as the only color in the bedroom. Zhang Junlin does not appreciate this style. I live alone, try to keep it as simple as possible, Ji Xian said with a chuckle. He approached Zhang Junlin from behind and said in his ear, if you live with your brother, then I still like the style of your room. The cloakroom is larger than the room, and the design is very simple. The space is large enough, so it looks very empty. Coupled with the black and white tones, it looks like a cold exhibition hall, which is a very cold style. It is said that the space where a person lives can best reflect a person's character. When Jang Junlin saw this space and thought about Ji-sun's character, it was not accurate at all. Ji-sun should prefer a more enthusiastic and unrestrained style. Are you busy today? Ji-sun's hand slid from his back to his waistline, gently drawing circles on his lower back, which was highly suggestive, and pushed Jang Junlin against the solid wood wardrobe wall. Brother, try it for me to see if my bed is soft enough. End of this chapter. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 664. Chapter 664, Beauty Trap. Wrongly knew that Jang Junlin came to see Lu Ziwen and did not go to the top floor. Wrongly and Ji Xian often worked in different places. Wrongly often went to work on the information center floor and had to manage finances. He could not coordinate the overall situation on the top floor. He had to meet with senior officials frequently. After knowing that Jang Junlin was coming, Wrongly was even less interested in going upstairs. Based on his understanding of Ji-sun, he would definitely not be able to leave in a short time. It's just that Jang Junlin suddenly came to Universal to find the third master. For what reason? Are you suspicious? But if he was suspicious, he could just ask Ji-sun directly. He believed that Ji-sun would not reveal anything. His phone vibrated, and Qin-wan sent a message. Qin-wan, what kind of reward do you want for saving your life? Wrongly frowned, no need, it's just a matter of hands. Qin-wan, saving one life is better than building a 7-level pagoda. I am a person who repays kindness, so tell me. Wrongly, I heard that you gave Chenfei an apartment, so treat everyone equally and give me an apartment. Qin-wan, I want to send you away with just a meal, but you actually want a house from me? Wrongly, it seems that your life is not valuable. Qin-wan, get out. Wrongly, ha. Wrongly stopped looking at his phone and asked his assistant to notify people to come over for a meeting. There were 3 meetings to be held in the afternoon. Before he went to the meeting, he asked Nick to remind Ji-sun, he has a social meeting tonight, don't forget it. I will remind the master. Wrongly nodded. Ji-huan was the one who basically came to Black Eagle's social gatherings. Wrongly and Lu Ziwen didn't like socializing. After Wrongly finished work, it was already 6 o'clock in the afternoon. He asked Nick, is Jang Junlin gone? Just left. Wrongly secretly thought that the third master was so unscrupulous when he was away that they actually spent the whole afternoon hanging out on the top floor of Universal. When he went upstairs, Ji-yu had just taken a shower, wiped his hair and rubbed his waist. Wrongly had a strange expression on his face. Looking at him, excessive overdraft, insufficient energy. Ji-sun. He knew that Wrongly had nothing nice to say. Are you eating firecrackers again? What is Jang Junlin coming to do? Ji-sun sat down and poured a glass of water to moisten his throat. Let's discuss his marriage with Gu Si. It's not a good excuse. It's not to the point where makes you faint. Knowing it is an excuse. He wants to discuss marriage with Third Master and what to do when he goes to the world. He can just ask Third Master to go to his house in a high-profile manner. Ji-sun said, although I don't understand the customs of City A, my brother is the one who talks about marriage, and all the elders in the family are here. So what? Brother is still suspicious. Ji-sun's face was solemn. I don't know whether he wants to investigate thoroughly or treat it lightly. Jang Junlin's character will not be handled lightly if suspicion arises. Not necessarily. Ji-sun raised his eyebrows. What if I can become a peerless enchantress and confuse the king? You're so promising, Wrongly said angrily. Why don't you want to be a foolish king, but you must be a demon concubine? Ji-sun sighed. Wrongly, let's fall in love. I'm really scared of you. Are you sure you won't be deceived by others and be deceived? Have a little faith in me, I can tell the difference clearly between color and scheme. Rongliko was speechless. We ended this matter beautifully. It's really going to be exposed, and it's also something you have to worry about. I'm too lazy to care about you. By the way, I'm going to take 5 days off and go to California. What are you doing in California? Ji Xian was surprised. It was a bit sudden. There are some personal matters to deal with, Rong Li said through gritted teeth, looking murderous. Ji Sun asked with concern, is it nothing serious? Even if you are not dead, it is all trivial matters. Rong Li stood up and clicked his watch. It's time for you to go out. Bureau Chen doesn't like people being late. Ji Sun went back to the cloakroom to change clothes. Rong Li bought a ticket to fly to California that night and left in a hurry. Ji Dao, Zhang Junlin looked at the information on the table with a headache. North asked, Master, do you want to check it carefully? Let it go first, Zhang Junlin sighed without trace, let me think about it. Click. End of this chapter. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 665. Chapter 665. I want to get my ears pierced. Gu Si had been busy for so long and finally got 2 days off. She took a long nap at home. Her family members felt sorry for her and didn't bother her. They let her sleep until noon and almost didn't make it to lunch. Zhang Junlin went to work and didn't bother her. Eating at home, Gu Ziyu has been on vacation to recuperate, and his family is relatively tidy. The table was full of food that Gu Si and Gu Ziyu liked to eat. Sister Gui also made soup that nourished blood and qi. Gu Si had been too busy recently and lost a lot of weight. After lunch, Gu Si wanted to go find Lu Ziwen, who was still in the temple. She lived there and took pictures of winter scenes for her. Knowing that Gu Si was on vacation for 2 days, Lu Ziwen told her not to run away and that he would pick her up later. Lin Chunli pulled Gu Si aside. Xiao Si, did your brother and Xiao Xian have a fight? What's wrong? Gu Si was surprised. Ji Xian responded to his brother's requests, and his brother was not a person who lost his temper. How could he quarrel? They rarely quarreled, and if they did, it would probably be a cold war. The matter between him and Xiao Xian has come to an end. Everyone in the family knows that. In the past few days, he even took the initiative to bring up the engagement. We also want to take care of it, but we can ask him for details. He was absent-minded and said that he was not in a hurry. I reminded him to take Xiao Xian home for dinner more often. He said that Xiao Xian was busy recently, and I felt that they were quarreling. Lin Chunli still knows her son better. He believes that one thing rarely changes and he will handle it very actively. He took the initiative to bring up the engagement. They are not very familiar with Ji Sun yet. It is the time to cultivate their relationship. He should bring Ji Sun home more often. It's very unreasonable to eat and cultivate relationships, but you don't know everything about it and say you don't have time. Gu Si was busy with hospital affairs and had no time to pay attention to him. He didn't even listen to Gu Ziyu talk about it. Gu Si said, Auntie, don't worry, wait for me to ask about the situation. Upon hearing this, Gu Ziyu said calmly, there was no quarrel, right? My uncle has been wearing the ring. If you want to quarrel, just take it off. Maybe he is really busy recently. Real? I don't know either, Gu Ziyu said, then let me ask. Be polite and ask Ji Sun why he hasn't been home for dinner recently. Okay. Gu Ziyu lived a comfortable life while recuperating from his injury, but he did not have any work at all. He did not need to go to work, but he had to arrange work for his team one by one. His department is a high-pressure department, often 007, and occasionally staying up late. The workload is very heavy. Gu Ziyu does not go to work, but he reassigns tasks to his team in a planned way, hoping to reduce the tedious communication in the middle, and researching such more be more efficient, and Chen Liangdong will let him do what he wants. Hearing that Lu Ziwen was coming to see Gu Xi in the afternoon and that he was going out again, Gu Zia was happy. He stayed at home for a few days and took advantage of his work as a tool to go out for a walk. "Mom, where are you going on a date? Where do you want to go?" "Let's go to Maple Leaf Park. I'll take some pictures. The maple leaves have turned red recently." "Okay," Gu Xi touched his head. It was rare that Gu Zia took the initiative to be a tool. Gu Xi was also used to dating a family of 3, "Isn't it important for you to work?" "It doesn't matter." Gu Xi told him, "Try to keep a low profile in your work in the future, and try to avoid Song Laniang's affairs. These people are extremely vicious and difficult to deal with. Fortunately, Lu Ziwen is by your side. Mom is scared even thinking about it now. If it weren't for Lu Ziwen's superpower, she would have lost Ziyu. She once thought that if the curse disappeared, Lu Ziwen's powers would also disappear. She had also looked forward to this day. Now that she thought about it, she was hasty. She would rather Lu Ziwen always had powers. At the critical moment, she would really can save lives. What happened to Song Laniang was an accident. "Mom, don't worry. It won't happen next time," Gu Zia said. She was trained by the Jida since she was a child. From the side, the system of the Jida is very mature in cultivating talents. The old man recently wanted to work with her, cooperate with the Jida and send the recruits of the Wild Wolf Squadron to the Jida for 3 years of training. "My uncle is also considering opening the Jida base. Isn't this appropriate?" Gu Xi had nothing to do with the Jidao when she was working as the hospital chief. She also knew that the Jidao's training model was different from that of the military camp. It was much more intense and could take the wrong direction, which was not suitable for the squadron. If people are trained, professional skills and individual combat capabilities can be improved, but there is also a drawback. "What are the disadvantages?" Gu Zia asked puzzledly. If it was a harmless thing, why didn't Uncle agree? Gu Xi chuckled and said, "Think about it carefully. If you really want to know, go to the base and see how they train. You will understand what the trained people are like. Is it like Chenfei and Qinhuan?" Gu Zia is a very smart child. "If I were an old man, I would also like to use Chenfei, but I would not like to use Qinhuan." Gu Xi smiled lightly and touched his head. Song Laniang's incident sounded a wake-up call to Zhang Junlin. The Jida training base was trained according to the Jida model, and now it is also facing a transformation, because the Jida agents slowly have identities and have the opportunity to walk out of the unknown. It's the same path, unlike the previous lifelong Yakuza. The system has changed, and the training at the bottom must also change. The Yakuza focuses more on personal abilities. Nowadays, to cultivate teamwork skills, it is more important to cultivate loyalty. Loyalty is not to the Yakuza, but to the people and the country. So Zhang Junlin has been busy doing internal reforms recently. If it weren't for the Song Laniang incident, he might have delayed it for 3 to 5 years, waiting for everyone in the Udao to slowly change their minds. But with the Song Laniang incident, he also realized that the trend was it must be done. Zhang Junlin was recently brought in by Mr. Wang to talk to him twice, which was about internal rectification. Gu Zia didn't go out for 5 days. He had to go out with Lu Ziwen and Gu Xi in the afternoon. He also took a shower, changed into handsome clothes, and put on his new white down jacket. When he went downstairs, the elders looked at him. His eyes are like looking at a flower. A young man in his late teens, who is over 1.7 meters tall. He has been growing taller to the naked eye recently. He is wearing a white down jacket and jeans. He has a jade-like body and is wearing a pair of high-top boots. He is so handsome that even Gu Xi can see it. Stunning, this is her masterpiece. She is so good-looking, and even more charming than Lu Ziwen in his early teens. When Ziyu grows up, he will be able to charm many women to death. Mr. Zhang was used to seeing beauties and was also fascinated by them. Aren't men fascinated? Lin Chunli thought to herself. She wanted Zhang Junlin to mislead Ziyu. Even if his son didn't give him a grandson, Ziyu must give birth to a great-grandson. Everybody. Guziu also knew that he was charming. Unlike a few years ago, he was beautiful and didn't know it. Now he knew that his appearance was outstanding, to the point of stunning people at a glance. After knowing his beauty, he was overly handsome and deliberately concealed his beauty. Not so sharp, but more inviting to prying eyes. Guziu said, "Mom, I want to get my ears pierced." Guzi. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 666. Chapter 666. The curse is lifted. Why do you need to pierce your ears? I want to wear earrings, Guziu said. My brother looks good with earrings, so I bought a pair. He always called Ji-sun brother. Everyone looked at each other. The old man said, "You are still young. You can wait until you are an adult if you want to fight." Why? Guziu felt that wearing earrings was just right for him at his age. The old lady said, "You work in the National Security Bureau. Can you wear earrings? You are officially authorized and don't allow tattoos. Just earrings." Guziu was surprised and turned to ask Chen Liangdong if he could have his ears pierced. Before Guzi had ventilated with Chen Liangdong, Chen Liangdong said, "In principle, it's best not to do it. If you do, don't wear it when you are at work, no one cares about you during your vacation." Guziu summed up the meaning, "You can fight." Guzi complained in her heart, "Chen Liangdong wanted you not to fight, the impact would not be good." Lu Ziwen came to pick up Guzi in the afternoon and saw Guziu and Guzi coming out wearing white down jackets. His expression was subtle. Now that he and Guzi had an appointment, Guziu was not needed. He didn't tell Guzi about this. Uzizi followed him, and it seemed that he had dressed up specially. He and Guzi walked together as if they were siblings. In a year or two, when his height increases to 1.8 meters, he will definitely be noticed when he goes shopping. If it is a brother-sister relationship, there is absolutely no way it could be a mother-son relationship. Is your wound healed? You can rest at home. Lu Ziwen leaned on the car and looked at Guziu with a half-smile. Guziu was still arrogant when he was a tool. "Without me, can you hold your mother's little hand?" He got into the car without any explanation. Guziu followed Lu Ziwen out, and his bodyguard Zhou Shiwen was in the car behind him. Guzi couldn't laugh or cry, and pulled Lu Ziwen's sleeve. "He wants his ears pierced." Lu Ziwen chuckled and said, "Young man still loves beauty. I will choose a place for you and take you to get your ears pierced first." Originally, I wanted Guziu to go out separately. Since he had something to go out, he would take him with him. The young man was obviously dressed up. If he didn't take him with him, he would definitely lose his temper. Guzi's eyes widened and she pinched his waist. "Why did you agree to his ear piercing? What's wrong with having your ears pierced? He is a boy. Can't boys have their ears pierced?" Lu Ziwen chuckled and said, "You are sexist. Ji-sun had his ears pierced, and so did I." "You?" Guzi glared at him. Yes, Lu Ziwen also had pierced ears. When he was a racing driver, he also wore diamond earrings, but he didn't know how to wear them when he was the third master. He was too young and still wore earrings. People with high positions may seem a bit frivolous and cannot control their aura, so although Lu Ziwen has pierced ears, he rarely wears them, and only the third young master likes them. Zio works within the system, can he be beaten? Lu Ziwen thought of Gu Zio's work. The old man said yes. He clearly said it was best not to fight. It doesn't matter if I get beaten, Gu Zio argued with reason. Lu Ziwen could see that Gu Ci was not willing, but he would not refute Gu Zio's intention. Does this evil man want him to do it again? But he didn't think it was a big deal. They made eye contact, and Gu Ci was not so insistent. Gu Zio saw it and said, I don't care anyway. I won't fight today. I'll go by myself tomorrow. I'll take you there. Lu Ziwen made the final decision. The son is older and has a firm mind. He and Gu Ci generally have little difficulty in stopping him. As long as it is not about murder and arson, Lu Ziwen and Gu Ci will let Gu Zio go. Do you still want to get a tattoo? Tattoos are absolutely not allowed. Gu Zio had a sense of discretion and knew what he could and could not do. Gu Ci couldn't stop it, so he had to give up. The two of them wore Gu Zio to have his ears pierced in a jewelry store. Lu Ziwen did not choose the earrings for them, but specially bought a pair of sterling silver earrings for Gu Zio, and had them pierced directly, reducing the probability of inflammation. Gu Zio only felt that his ears were warm and not painful. He didn't feel anything serious. He took good care of them these days and kept them away from water. A week would be enough. After the treatment, Gu Zio even took a photo to share with Ji Xian. Gu Ci and Lu Ziwen's eyes hurt when they saw it. After your earrings are nailed, you can go home. Lu Ziwen issued an eviction order, don't disturb our date. Gu Zio also wanted to go to the park to take pictures of maple leaves. You are not polite to the tool man like this. Gu Ci opened her eyes wide when she realized something, and grabbed Lu Ziwen's hand excitedly. Lu Ziwen, you mean, it won't hurt if you get close to me. Lu Ziwen nodded, and Gu Ci's tears fell instantly. She thought of Lu Ziwen going to live in the temple for a few days, and she didn't know what she was doing. Then the curse on you has disappeared. Gu Ci's heart ached. This matter had always been a knife hanging in her heart. She was still waiting for the knife to fall. After so many years of curse, she never thought that one day, this curse would disappear. Even Lu Ziwen lay flat. I don't know either. Great, Gu Ci hugged Lu Ziwen excitedly, as long as you are not tortured, I am satisfied. She doesn't have too many requirements anymore. She just wants Lu Ziwen to be safe and not suffer whenever he gets close to her. If the pain disappears, will the curse also disappear? Lu Ziwen hugged her and patted her shoulder with pity. Gu Ci was crying uncontrollably in his arms. Gu Zio was confused next to her. What was going on? Why is mom crying? So, can I not be a tool in the future? Gu Zio almost set off firecrackers. He was not a 3-year-old child who cried when he left his parents. Who would want to eat dog food with his dating parents every day? Gu Zio was also very happy. Dad, what's going on? Why doesn't it hurt anymore? When did it start? Yes, when did it start? Gu Ci scolded him, why didn't you tell me about such a big thing? Lu Ziwen wiped away Gu Ci's tears, and his fingertips touched her soft skin, and his heart softened. I was wrong, I should tell you as soon as possible. Moi. End of this chapter. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 667. Chapter 667, The Fate of the Tool Man. Although his parents no longer needed a tool, Gu Zio still went with them to the park to take pictures of the scenery. This time he knew what was going on. He stayed far away from them and did not disturb them to whisper. Gu Zio took the guards to take pictures of the scenery. There are many maple trees planted in the park. This season is indeed the most beautiful. The maple leaves are bright red, and many professional photographers will come to the park to take pictures. Lu Ziwen and Gu Ci held hands and walked behind Gu Zio. Gu Ci's eyebrows were all smiling, showing rare excitement. Occasionally, he stared at Lu Ziwen in a daze. Lu Ziwen couldn't help but smile. "You look at me like this, as if I'm a piece of pastry." "You are more fragrant than pastries," Gu Ci chuckled and said. "I have been too busy during this period. I have been in the hospital all the time. In fact, I have always been worried that you will suddenly disappear one day. Although we said goodbye properly, we are still it's because I'm afraid. Sometimes I wake up from nightmares even after sleeping for 2 hours on duty. I have to send you a message to make sure you're okay before I can calm down. No wonder, I always receive messages from you at 2 or 3 in the morning," Lu Ziwen said with a chuckle. "I will wait until the early morning to reply to your message before going to bed. I thought you were staying up late working. I stayed up late waiting for news from you. I was afraid that if the reply was too late, someone would be anxious." The two looked at each other and smiled. It must be said that they have a very unique tacit understanding in this regard. Lu Ziwen can understand Gu Ci's suffering, and Gu Ci can also understand Lu Ziwen's cherishment. They both put each other in the most important place in their hearts. Both hope the other party is safe and well. "Is this why you went to the temple?" "Yes, I have been puzzled by this matter and am still waiting for the explanation. The disappearance of the pain does not necessarily mean that the curse has disappeared. I have not dreamed about him during this period." Gu Ci knew who he was referring to, and felt a little confused. If the pain disappeared, didn't it mean that the curse also disappeared? Is there anything else going on? "I'm understanding." Lu Ziwen didn't dare to give an accurate answer, fearing that Gu Ci would be disappointed if things went against his wishes. He was also used to confirming things with Gu Ci only when he was 100% certain, and Gu Ci was also used to his style. No matter what, the pain disappeared and they were able to hold hands without restraint. This was a good start. There was nothing better than this. Everything was going in a good direction. Gu Ci was very satisfied, no matter how much she wished for. "I am afraid that if I ask for too much, the priest will think that I am greedy. The current happiness and stability are what she dreams of." "Third brother, if the curse disappears, you will not die young." "Have you retired so early?" Gu Ci asked with a smile. Lu Ziwen rarely cares about Black Eagle's affairs now, leaving them all to Ji Sun. Ji Sun mentioned this matter to him, and he didn't give much advice. Ji Sun was solely responsible for it. He really hasn't thought about this problem. If he could live a long life and stay with Gu Ci, would he retire so early? Gu Ci couldn't help but think about the future. If there was no curse, what would you do? Actually, Lu Ziwen might not like the fact that Black Hawk's affairs are cumbersome and complicated. When Lu Ziwen thinks of those days of racing, he is really high-spirited and very enjoyable. He likes that kind of happy life. "Maybe, keep racing." "Okay, you look best when you are racing." "I will definitely go to watch everyone." Gu Ci laughed and said that it was a pity that she had never seen Lu Ziwen's many scenes. "Like racing?" "I like your feeling on the court. You are the king of the court. It was a pity to retire so early. Now your body has recovered. You retired because of your status as the third master of the Black Hawks. Now you have quit the Black Hawks and returned to it. Can also be done on the field." Gu Ci supported him in pursuing his dream, but is there an age limit for racing drivers? "I see that some athletes will retire when they reach a certain age, and their physical fitness and reaction ability cannot keep up. The requirements are still very strict. Racing athletes are different from track and field, swimming and gymnasts. Racing athletes require physical fitness, but also require technology, and are more dependent on a team's technology. Physical fitness is necessary, but as long as you pass the test, racing athletes have a long lifespan. Before me, the most famous racing driver is still active in the racing field at the age of 38. Lu Ziwen loves racing. Even if he doesn't race, he is still good at running the Global Racing Center and leading the team in competitions. He is also serious about retreating behind the scenes planning, Joy in his heart, Lu Ziwen may not realize that this is the first time he and Gu Ci talk about the future. It is not that they are silent about it, it is just that they know well that they have no future, so no one is willing to go, speaking of which, Gu Ci would also have a tacit agreement not to talk about the future with Lu Ziwen, which would be very ironic. Now, they have no taboos. Lu Ziwen said, I can rest assured that the Black Eagle is handed over to Ji Sun. In fact, there are many internal problems that have not been resolved yet and are left to them to worry about. It has nothing to do with us. Gu Ci felt at ease. Although Ji Sun and Rong Li were also curious about why he retired so early, they asked but got no answer. Ji Sun still habitually asked Lu Ziwen for his opinion on some matters, but Lu Ziwen would not participate in Black Hawk again. In his management, unless something happens to Ji Sun, he will give Black Hawk the bottom line. After all, Black Hawk has also devoted his many years of hard work. Gu Zia was lying on the lawn taking pictures of the scenery. Lu Ziwen's eyes hurt from looking at it. Gu Ci also saw it and chuckled, have you noticed? Zia likes to take pictures of scenery. I like it in spring, summer, autumn, and winter. That camera costs 200,000 yuan. Lu Ziwen shook his head and said, professional photography lenses are wasted in his hands. Zia hired a photographer to teach him photography 2 years ago. Where was the professional camera wasted? When did you develop your hobby? Lu Ziwen cared a little less about Gu Zia. Lu Ziwen definitely didn't know Gu Zia's interests and hobbies as clearly as Ji Sun did. I don't know. Maybe I was too homely in my last life. I want to see more scenery in this life. After I died, Zia didn't go out for many years. That mountain and that house were Zia's cage. He can only see the world on the internet. Gu Ci feels sad that her precious son can have some hobbies. Gu Ci is happier than anyone else, and the scenery taken by Gu Zia is very beautiful. Some of the scenery was washed out by the old man and the old lady. Hang in the hallway at home. When he is on vacation, he will go out with the old man and the old lady to take pictures of the scenery. He prefers activities for the elderly. There was a cafe in the park. Lu Ziwen and Gu Ci sat down to drink coffee. Gu Zia was still taking pictures of the scenery. Lu Ziwen underestimated his influence. As soon as he sat down, fans wanted to sign, but they were stopped by the guards. Private, no one is allowed to get close to the event. Lu Ziwen is used to this kind of attention. His fans on social platforms find it difficult to accept the news of his retirement. He is still so young, and fans still hope that he can play for another 10 years. Gu Ci chuckled and said, you have announced your retirement. If you come back to the competition, the anti-fans will have something to say. Let them do whatever they want. If I retire and come back, I can still win the championship to prove my strength. Gu Ci laughed. Gu Zia came back sweating profusely and showed Gu Ci and Lu Ziwen the scenery he had taken. It must be said that the young man had 2 brushes and the photos he took were very beautiful. Lu Ziwen also gave a rare praise. Gu Zia was outside with a camera and took a group photo of them. It was full of atmosphere. Neither of them knew that Gu Zia had taken the photo. Gu Ci didn't know what she was talking about. Lu Ziwen looked at her tenderly and dangerously. The atmosphere is beautiful, and Gu Ci also likes it at first sight. There are very few photos of her and Lu Ziwen. Neither of them likes to take pictures. Gu Ci is not the kind of person who likes to take pictures when they are in love. When the two go on dates, they rarely take selfies. Lu Ziwen was also aware of this problem and asked Gu Zia to take photos of him and Gu Ci after drinking coffee. The son is a free photographer. Give you a chance to prove your photography skills. Gu Zia snapped his fingers, no problem. Mom and Dad are so good looking that any photo they take will always be beautiful. He also likes to take pictures of them. The park is beautiful in winter, with red maple leaves everywhere. Although there are more people, Gu Zia is still able to take pictures of a quiet and beautiful atmosphere, No matter what, I am just a tool person. End of this chapter. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 668. Chapter 668 Zhang Junlin's Cold Violence. When Gu Ziyu and Gu Xi returned home, Zhang Junlin had already returned. He could tell at a glance that Gu Ziyu had his ears pierced, and frowned slightly. Why did you get your ears pierced? I like it, Gu Ziyu asked. Does it look good? Zhang Junlin chuckled. It looks good. I'll give you a pair of earrings another day. Old man. How did you change your gender? He thought Zhang Junlin would lose his temper when he saw Gu Ziyu had his ears pierced. He was a child after all, but he didn't expect Zhang Junlin to support Gu Ziyu. I want blue gemstone earrings. Gu Ziyu, who did not have a rich family and only had a fixed salary and no pocket money, asked for a gift without any politeness. Zhang Junlin thought of the blue gemstone earrings Jiju wore, and said expressionlessly, I'll buy you a pair of red ones. Gu Ziyu. He is a young man, and he looks so ugly wearing red gemstone earrings. Gu Xi couldn't laugh or cry, and reminded Gu Ziyu, Ji Sun also likes to wear blue earrings. That's just right, my brother and I will wear them together. Gu Xi. Lin Chunli said, isn't it just for couples to go out? Obviously it's a brother's money. Who wears the same earrings as his brother? Zhang Junlin said. Gu Ziyu secretly thought that he would not buy it for the young master. The young master saved his own money to buy it. Gu Ziyu said coquettishly to the old man and the old lady, Great-grandma, great-grandma, the Chinese New Year is almost here, do you want to give it to me, a little pocket money? I'm so poor, I have to ask my uncle for money to buy earrings. Don't you have any pocket money? Grandma was so surprised. She looked at Zhang Junlin and asked accusingly, don't you have any pocket money for me? Zhang Junlin was also surprised. You guys who are crazy about doting on your baby, didn't give you any pocket money. He thought that all the elders in the family gave Gu Ziyu pocket money, so he didn't give it to him. Gu Ziyu had a salary, and his transportation expenses were reimbursed. He ate in the Kuoan canteen, and Gu Xi bought the equipment. There was basically no place to spend money. He didn't think about giving it anymore. Zhang Minghua was shocked, we all thought you gave it. After all, Zhang Junlin gave Gu Xi pocket money without blinking an eye, so they misunderstood and would also give Gu Ziyu a share. Gu Ziyu felt wronged, I have never received any pocket money. He was so poor. Gu Xi couldn't say anything as she watched Gu Ziyu cheat money. They did not have the habit of giving Gu Ziyu pocket money, and neither did Lu Ziwen, but they would buy whatever Gu Ziyu wanted to buy, and Gu Ziyu was a very economical spender. A child who is affordable will not be lavish. Now that he has grown up, he no longer likes his elders to buy clothes. He loves online shopping, so the whole family only has one person who loves online shopping. In the Zhang family's mansion, there is enough express delivery for a year to be counted on one hand. The Zhang family is very particular about food, clothing, housing, and transportation. There are specialized suppliers for food. Vegetables are also grown naturally in an agricultural trade base in the suburbs, and fruits are also available. The home furnishings are delivered through special channels. The old lady and Lin Chunli bought them while shopping and rarely shop online. Since having Gu Ziyu, he has been shopping online every day. The old lady likes to buy some gadgets. He now has his own style and buys his own clothes. No matter how expensive winter clothes are, they will not exceed 2,000, and summer clothes will not cost more than 2,000. He also buys sportswear that costs RMB 1 or 200, so colleagues from Kuoan will often see Gu Ziyu wearing a pair of high-tailored clothes from Longfenglu today, and wearing sportswear that costs less than 500 RMB tomorrow. His salary is enough to cover his purchasing desires. Gu Ziyu said, is there a possibility that because I am poor, the clothes I buy are relatively cheap? Everybody. Gu Ziu is actually not poor. Gu Ci gave him a sum of money. 6 months ago, an agent under Gu Ziu died in the line of duty. Gu Ziu personally gave him a large sum of condolence money. The man was still very young and had just gotten married. For 2 years, a pair of twins lived on him. Although the department took good care of the martyrs' families, Gu Ziu still gave them a large sum of money so that the children could have enough food and clothing. He didn't have much idea about money, and it was only after that incident that he discovered the benefits of money. As soon as he complained that he had no money, the elders in his family transferred money to him one after another. Gu Ziu happily counted the zeros on his back, feeling satisfied. Once he had money, he could wear the same money as Ji Sun. After all, he defrauded him of pocket money because of Ji Sun. His salary could not afford to buy ear piercings with precious stones. When Ji Sun heard that Gu Ziu had his ears pierced, his first reaction was to give him earrings, which coincided with Zhang Junlin's idea. Ji Sun asked tentatively, "How is your uncle, how is he feeling recently?" "Oh." Gu Ziu taunted, "I'm trying to show my courtesy for nothing. It turns out that I'm either an adulterer or a thief. Did you have a quarrel? What you said is so unpleasant. What do you like? I usually buy less for you." Ji Xian chuckled and said, "It's not a quarrel, it's just, I feel like my brother is trying to bully me." Gu Ziu chuckled and said, "My uncle looks very cold and violent. You were the first to know about it?" "That's not the case." Ji Xian felt that Zhang Junlin had many tricks to deal with him. Playing hard to get and honey traps were all leftovers. Now he had developed a new business and used cold and violent tactics, but he couldn't accuse him yet. After all, he did feel a little guilty regarding Song Lanying. Gu Ziu thought of the ring on Zhang Junlin's hand and said calmly, "The ring is still on, which means he is still saved." Ji Sun. It's not that serious, but he couldn't talk to Gu Ziu in detail. Gu Ziu was now a wanderer. "How are you recovering from your injuries?" "I'll go see you tomorrow." "That's a good excuse, come on." Ji Sun. End of this chapter. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 669. Chapter 669 quotes about secondary disease. Gu Ziu even suggested that Ji Sun bring Lu Ziwen with him. Anyway, his mother is also at home on vacation. After dinner, he can take his mother back to the hospital. Perfect. Ji Sun frowned, "Do you want me to take Third Master to attract firepower? If not." Ji Sun and Gu Ziu are indeed good brothers. When Gu Ziu said something, Ji Sun got the idea. Zhang Junlin didn't like Lu Ziwen. Even if he had some conflicts with Ji Sun, he would definitely be the main conflict with Lu Ziwen. With Lu Ziwen around, Zhang Junlin definitely didn't hate Ji Xian anymore. Ji Sun couldn't laugh or cry, "Let's not trick the Third Master." They were considered to be very close to the Third Master, and there was no discussion before they tried to trick him. "It's up to you." Gu Ziu spread his hands, "It doesn't matter to me." Ji Sun specifically asked Zhang Junlin, "Brother, I'm going to see Ziu tomorrow. Are you at home?" Chang Junlin. "This excuse is really appropriate." "Not here," Zhang Junlin replied coldly. Ji Sun posted a set of pitiful emoticons, and then audaciously posted an emoticon of wanting to crawl into bed and begging for the emperor's favor. Zhang Junlin couldn't help but laugh. Zhang Junlin said he wasn't here, but when Ji Sun came, he still went out to pick him up. If Ji Sun came to see Ziyu and he was not at home, Ji Sun's face would not look good. Ji Sun was a typical example of someone who got an advantage but acted like a good boy and came up to kiss him. Kissing his lips and winking mischievously, "Are you at home? Leave in a moment." No, Ji-sun said coquettishly, if you leave, I will be so embarrassed. Aren't you here to see Ziyu? What's the embarrassment? Ziyu is an old tool man who really comes to see Ziyu. Zhang Junlin turned sideways, and Ji Huan saw an angry Gu Ziyu standing behind Zhang Junlin. Huh, I'm an old tool, you guys are so annoying. He turned around and ran back. If he had known better, he would not have come out to pick him up. Ji-sun was annoyed. Are you too vindictive? Did you do it on purpose? How did I know that you two have such a good relationship, and he still has to come out to pick you up 2 steps away? Zhang Junlin was able to put the blame aside and took the healthcare products and fruits brought by Ji Xian and walked inside. This time he brought bird's nest fruit, which was a fruit that all the women in the family like to eat. Brother, give me some face, don't be cold-faced. Ji-sun continued to act coquettishly, I'm also very wronged. When will I not give you face? Zhang Junlin laughed angrily. Quite good at trapping people. Who was the first to play tricks? Ji Xian told some things frankly and honestly. Maybe he was not angry at all, and he could understand that things were getting out of control and it was not his fault. He had to cover up, hide, and be mean, so Zhang Junlin was a little unhappy, and Song Laniying's the matter was still very complicated behind the scenes. He gave Ji-sun a chance to confess, but Ji-sun didn't want to confess at all. Ji-sun said he was embarrassed, but in fact he was very comfortable in the Zhang family and was not embarrassed at all. The elders in the family thought they had quarreled. When they saw Ji-sun coming over, Zhang Jun didn't say it to his face, but he was actually quite happy in their hearts. I'm also happy because the elders hope that their children will grow old in peace and love. Ziyu, don't be angry. My brother will give you a pair of earrings. Ji Xian took out the gift. It was a pair of beautiful black diamond earrings. The design was simple and elegant, which was in line with Gu Ziyu's aesthetics. The strong do not eat what comes, so I don't want your gift. Zhang Junlin. Where did you learn this Chuyunibu quotation? End of this chapter. Shocking. She came back with a smaller version of the boss. Author, and knows. Chapter 670. Chapter 670. The Little Wolf Cub's Green Tea Acting Skills. Gu Ziyu's arrogance only lasted for 3 seconds. He quickly took the earrings given by Ji-sun and put them on happily. His hair was a little long. After putting on the earrings, his arrogance was neutralized. His beautiful appearance also weakened the coldness on his body, and he really turned into a pretty boy. The elders looked at him, and then looked at Ji Xian, who was also wearing a blue earring, with a very subtle expression. Isn't it nice? Ji-sun said, this is my favorite pair in my collection. That's so embarrassing. Gu Ziyu raised his chin slightly and said arrogantly, then I'll accept it reluctantly. Everybody. You almost have 8 teeth in your smile, it's so forced. The Zhang family didn't know that Gu Ziyu was injured, and Ji-sun certainly wouldn't mention it. During this vacation, the old man, the old lady, and others thought that maybe Ziyu was a minor, and Chen Liangdong couldn't exploit him anymore, so he gave it to him. He was on vacation, so he didn't have to work and could handle work at home. The stitches on Gu Ziyu's wound could be removed in 2 days. New skin and flesh were still growing, so he felt a little itchy, but it wasn't serious. Ji Xian felt a little sleepy after lunch and rested in Zhang Junlin's room. Lin Chunli said, Xiao Xian has been very tired recently. He has dark circles under his eyes and his complexion is not very good. I can see that I have no energy. The old lady's eyes were very poisonous. Junlin, did you have a quarrel with Xiao Xian and didn't talk to him much? You are so much older than Xiao Xian and you didn't take care of him when he was eating. He is the one who takes care of you, picks up the vegetables for you, and serves you the soup, and you don't even say a word of thanks. It's so shameless. Ji Huan most likely said that Zhang Junlin was in trouble on purpose. He had never been so attentive during meals, so he insisted on playing the role of the little daughter-in-law in his house, but he couldn't expose him yet. The old man and Zhang Minghua remained silent and complained quite a bit. "You are really a scumbag with your behavior." Lin Chunli couldn't help scolding him. "Xiao Xian is still young and alone. You can't bully him all the time." Zhang Junlin. Gu Ziu suppressed laughter and thought to himself, if he told them now that Ji Sun had imprisoned his uncle and wanted to break his legs, would they believe it? Most likely. I think he is making up a story. In their eyes, Ji Sun is just a hard-working young daughter-in-law who dares not speak even after being coldly beaten. How lovable. Gu Si also felt that her brother was wronged. They were traveling and her brother was picky about food and had a bad appetite. However, he always took good care of Ji Sun and was very smooth and natural. However, it was the opposite at home. There seems to be a real Cold War these days. "I know," Zhang Junlin said calmly, without explaining, "and they might not listen anyway." The elders looked at him with condemnation in their eyes, and it was clear that he was a scumbag. "Be careful. Didn't you just ignore him? The acting is so over the top. Ji Sun has always had a strong desire for revenge. Don't just talk but don't do anything." The old lady gave him a lesson, asking him to be a gentleman, let Ji Sun take care of Ji Sun, etc. Zhang Junlin stood up after hearing this and said simply, "Okay. I went upstairs to take a nap with him." He went upstairs without saying a word and did not listen to their chatter. Everybody. After Zhang Junlin went upstairs, the old lady gossiped, "Ziu, do you know why they quarreled?" "I don't know, brother didn't tell me." Gu Ziu knew it, but couldn't say it out loud. "Maybe I've been busy recently and haven't been able to see my superiors, so I'm unhappy. It's better to say goodbye than to get married if we don't see each other for a few days after being busy. Wouldn't the relationship be better?" Gu Ziu said, "A little farewell is better than a wedding." It was a wedding. They have been dating for many years, and they have long been tired of seeing each other. "You've been very understanding lately." Gu Si, who had been silent for a long time, said with a chuckle. "Dad read me a lot of extracurricular books. Although I don't understand much, I can summarize the central ideas." Gu Ziu said proudly, "It almost makes sense." Gu Si was really curious as to what book Lu Ziwen read to Gu Ziu. "Did he show you Jin Ping Mei?" "No." "Oh." Gu Si raised an eyebrow. "A Dream of Red Mansions?" "No." The conversation between the mother and the son made the old man and the old lady shake their heads. "Ziu, you are still young and you also choose categories. The same goes for classics. You don't need to read Dream of Red Mansions, but you can read Three Kingdoms." Gu Ziu is not interested in classics. In fact, he doesn't like to read classics. He likes to read reference books and all kinds of books that can improve professional skills. He doesn't like to read leisure books. Upstairs, the bedroom is carpeted. Zhang Junlin also deliberately walked slowly. Rongli went to Los Angeles for vacation. Lu Ziwen quit the Black Hawk again. Ji Xian has been crazy busy these days. Although he is smiling, lovable and has a bright face, but the tiredness in his eyes could not be concealed. They were all bloodshot, and the dark circles under his eyelids were extremely heavy. He must have been exhausted for a while. The bedroom was lit with calming sandalwood. Ji Xian slept soundly. He only closed a layer of curtains. The light in the bedroom was not dim. He sank into the soft pillow and quilt and slept peacefully. The floor heating was turned on at home. Because of that, the bedroom was very warm, his cheeks were flushed, and he looked extremely well behaved. He looked the best when he was sleeping and laughing. Zhang Junlin felt a little soft-hearted, gently caressing his cheek with the back of his fingers. Ji Sun fluttered his eyelashes, chuckled, tilted his head and leaned close to his hand, feeling a little nostalgic. Zhang Junlin chuckled, "Sleep well." Ji Sun wanted Zhang Junlin to sleep with him, but with Zhang Junlin by his side, he was distracted and would inevitably get into trouble, which made him sleep poorly. Moreover, it was not good to engage in prostitution during the day at his house, so he continued to catch up on his sleep. The sun was warm in the afternoon. Zhang Junlin was handling official business in the study next door. Ji Xian was sleeping without disturbing each other. It was also very quiet downstairs. Lin Chunli and the old lady went shopping in the afternoon. The old lady went to a university for an event, and Zhang Minghua also went out to socialize. Gu Si's mother and son were the only ones left in the family. Gu Si rarely rested and was also catching up on sleep. Gu Zi went to the garden to feed stray cats and asked Chen Liangdong for a task. "You haven't had a good rest yet, let's take care of him for another half-month." Chen Liangdong was not willing to enslave him. "If I lie down again, I will become a little fat man. The days when I lie down are too boring. I want to fight." Wan Gu Zi couldn't help but said, "I'll have the stitches removed in a few days. It's not like I hurt my brain, it's so boring to always recuperate. The people under your command will hate you to death when they hear this. They shout for vacation every day." Chen Liangdong considered his words carefully. "I'll give it to you after I sort out the recent cases. Then do it faster." Gu Zio's favorite thing was to feed a milk cat in the community. The cat was all white, without any color. People in the community named her Snow White. She liked to hang around Jiang's house the most. After feeding it for 3 days, Gu Ziu, the little female cat, came with her 4 children to beg for food. Gu Ziu almost became their exclusive scooper. He bought a lot of cat food and would come out to feed them when he had nothing to do. When Gu Si came out from his nap, Gu Ziu was already lying in the garden basking in the sun. Sunbathing in this winter made Gu Si's eyes hurt. The cold wind was blowing, so wasn't he afraid of getting a headache? Gu Si made hot tea and sat next to him. "Ziu, let's satisfy Mom's curiosity. Why did they quarrel?" "I don't know." Gu Ziu held hot tea. "Mom, really, you believe me?" Gu Ziu was very tight-lipped and never revealed a word about things that shouldn't be revealed. Gu Si vaguely felt that Gu Ziu knew about it. Lu Ziwen also said that Ziu was very thoughtful now and didn't know who he learned it from. Gu Si thought it was normal. After all, she followed Chen Liangdong and dealt with old foxes. She would also follow that path in the future, and she would be eaten up by others without much thought. "Did Black Eagle work hard behind Song Laniying's matter?" asked Dad. "Dad has already quit the Black Hawks. Besides, it's inappropriate to ask about my identity." "Then it's appropriate for you to ask me." Gu Ziu couldn't believe it. "Kuoan and the Yakuza can be considered an alliance." "No," Gu Ziu said with a smile, "our functions are still very different." Gu Si. After talking about this, Gu Si knew that Ziyu would not say anything. She guessed that it was related to the incident with Song Laniying. Since Ziyu didn't want to say anything, Gu Si didn't force it. "Ziyu, you have to recuperate for a while. Do you want to participate in any youth activities?" Gu Si found that Ziyu didn't have any friends of the same age. "You don't have any friends, you go out to make friends with people of the same age and participate in activities together." "What's so good about getting along with people of the same age?" Gu Ziu yawned. "They are still studying hard for junior high school and doing homework. What's the benefit of me getting along with them? Can I help them with their homework?" Gu Si. It makes sense and cannot be refuted. But she was worried about Ziu's circle of friends. For a young man of 13 or 14 years old, his circle of friends were all people of Chen Liangdong's generation. Gu Ziu's circle of friends were all old foxes, and their connections were all at the top, except for colleagues. Family. He would definitely not be able to intervene in the topic of children of the same age, and he would not bother to interrupt. Gu Si didn't want Gu Ziu to interact with people of the same age, but she just wanted Gu Ziu to have a richer life, but her precious son seemed to be interested in it. "Colorful life is not interesting." "Mom, why does Dad keep going to the temple?" Gu Ziu was very curious. Does he want to purify his 6 roots, wash away all the dirt, and convert to Buddhism? Gu Ci laughed out loud instantly. Do you think he has Buddha nature? Let me tell you secretly, I dreamed of him, wearing a cassock, with a big bald head, sitting in the temple with a solemn expression. He really looked like he wanted to cut off the world of mortals and take refuge in my Buddha. Gu Zia complained. What do I want to say to my father in the dream? When he looked over, I woke up in fear. He was such a serious monk. Gu Ci opened her mouth and asked from her soul, is he handsome with a bald head? Gu Zia looked at Gu Ci with disdain. Are you just like your uncle, a handsome guy? Do you always look for a partner based on your face? No, I'm not a face controller. Gu Ci hurriedly denied. Why do you have such a dream? I don't know. Gu Zia was also puzzled. It must be because you always talk about the temple, and he often goes to the temple, so I dreamed that he became like this. Gu Ci couldn't laugh or cry. In her previous life, Lu Ziwen had painted a portrait of him in the temple, so she knew that Lu Ziwen was not bald, and she didn't know how Ziyu had such a weird dream. It's so scary. But she always felt that Ziyu's dream was a bit prophetic. He also dreamed that Lu Ziwen was in the temple. They rarely mentioned Lu Ziwen's life in front of Gu Ziyu. Gu Ziyu still had only a partial understanding of Lu Ziwen's origins. End of this chapter.